Alright, so this is not going to be a video too much about progress, adventure, whatnot. It's more along the lines of a wish list. Things that I hope get added to the game eventually. Things that I think will make a drastic improvement to the overall ambience, look, and game itself. You know, everybody's different, but, you know, these are things I would like to see added to the game eventually. Things that I think would make this game look a whole lot better. Starting off, you know, I guess I'll start with animals and stuff like that. Rats. Yes, most people don't like rats, but to me, I think it would be an added addition to the overall wildlife ambience. They don't, if added, they wouldn't spawn like normal creatures out in the wild or whatever. They would spawn in small numbers in darkened areas of buildings, storage places, especially if you have barrels with food in them, per se. You know, it gives some kind of living ambience to the world. With that said, population control. Add some cats. Sole purpose of a cat, walk around. If it sees a rat, it gets rid of the rat. Simple as that. Now, another thing I would like to see added, bats. Some people like bats, some people don't. But I think it would be cool to see bats flying along the tree lines at night, or high up structures like this clock tower. It would be nice to see them fly around there, and then, you know, during daylight hours, they perch and hang off the edges of structures or tree limbs out in the wild. Dogs. Dogs are another thing. I would like to see dogs. We have wolves. They have puppies. You can bring them home. They do not attack you. But I would like to see dogs. And leashes for the dogs so you can tie them up somewhere. I mean, we already have the start of a leash here. Now, if you can make the end of this rope some kind of attachment that you can hook on stuff, there you go. You got your dog leash. Raccoons are another thing I would like to see in the game. I would like to see them spawn in a few numbers. You know, maybe 2 adults, 3 adults, 1 adult, you know, 2 to 3 cubs or whatever. But I don't want them all spawning out in the wild. I also don't want them spawning all inside because that'd be ridiculous. But like this, for instance, I mean, you've got ground, you've got structure. Have them spawn on regular ground, soil, near structures. You know, technically they're a pest animal and they like to raid garbage and whatever food's lying around. Or have them spawn, you know, near tilled land where you're farming. You know, so it looks like they're raiding your crops or whatever. You know, it's something to give life to the game. Now, with that said, squirrels. I would like to see squirrels. And the best option for them is a tree, you know? Have them spawn near a tree. We got plenty of oak trees. Add some acorns to it, and boom, there you go. They spawn around the trees. They run up the trees. They stay near the oak trees. If the oak tree vanishes, they'll run away until they find another oak tree. You know, something to give life. So, like, let's say if I finish this off, which is going to be a while, I plant an oak tree here in the corner. Of course, it's going to have acorns, and sometimes they're going to drop, and you should be able to collect the acorns that actually drop on the ground, as well as a squirrel spawning, running up and eating the ones on the ground. That'd be cool. Now, birds. I haven't seen a bird here, except for the chickens. A few birds I would like to see that would make this game have life. Most people don't like them. They call them winged rats. Pigeons. Yes, nasty pigeons. Like, if I was to finish this and fill it in with buildings and have a street, you know, I want pigeons to flock around structures. I don't mean thousands of them. I mean, you gotta have a spawn weight and amount for a selected area, but I would like to see a couple pigeons just randomly walking around, you know, on a street or in a courtyard or something. It would bring life to the game. With that said, you know, you're going to have acorns, acorn trees. You've already got farmlands where you're building farms. Spawn crows. I would like to see the crows picking at acorns by an acorn tree. I would like seeing them, you know, flying around, you know, farm areas. If you got fences up, or if they add it later, scarecrows. You know, have them perch on the arms of the scarecrow and the fences, you know. That would bring some life to the game. Another bird I can think of off the hand is a seagull. Now, seagulls normally fly around the coast, so yeah, you see a couple walking along the beach areas, flying along the ocean areas, not the rivers. So you'd have a spawn of saltwater, you know, beach area instead of freshwater. This way here it's more realistic. Or structures that are along the water, like I have this built here along what they consider ocean, because it is saltwater. I would like to see them just walk across, you know, the port area, or when I do get the wooden docks out, you know, landing on the docks. That would bring, you know, some more realism to Rising World. A simple bird for the next one, a common finch. You know, a little songbird, nothing very special about it. But if you put the birdhouse up like you got over here, you will see one fly in and out of it and land on this little perchy thing. You know, hop inside, totally vanish, then pop out and fly away. Or you'd see them, you know, around random trees. You know, nothing real special, nothing major. Now, with that said, you add squirrels, you already got the rabbits. Hunting. That brings up my next thing. You've already, as you've seen, you've already got this rope. Looks like a noose. But if you could set up, like let's say in the wild. Now this would only work if there's actual animals near what I'm talking about. A slip noose. Like let's say you've seen rabbits running around over in here. come over here next to the tree, or you find some tall grass. You set up your little noose slip knot, trap, but you need bait. You put the carrot down in the little round circle area this way here. When they come and eat it, whoop, you got yourself a rabbit. You're not going to see it hang. What you're going to see is a rabbit secured in place by the noose. This way here, I mean, you can hunt them without having to go and get them. It also leaves it an option for you to trap them, manually or automatically, I should say, without having to literally go out and walk around looking for them. The same with squirrels. You set up the little noose thing, you put it in an acorn from the tree if it's added, you catch yourself a little squirrel. Simple as that. I think you can lasso. Yeah, see, you can lasso the rabbits. So it would work on them already. Next thing I would like to see, because I hate fishing. I don't want to sit in game with a pole and do fishing. To me, that's boring. I would like to see fishing traps, though. Maybe a wicker basket style type deal, mid-game after you unlock it. Where you would normally sit here with a fishing pole, you can come out and you put your trap down, and eventually you'll catch fish. And if they actually add fish later in the game, you can actually literally physically catch a fish instead of having it an overtime type deal. Sort of like a crop growing, but instead of a crop growing, the basket in the water is growing a fish, and then when it's done, boom, you got your fish. Simple way of explaining it. Fishing nets. That's something I would love to see. That's more of an end game thing. You make them out of rope after you get your loom set up and whatnot. And then you take your boat out, you go into the deep waters, and then just toss the net out. You wait for a bit, and then when the net starts being pulled and tugged, you got yourself a full load, and you just haul it in. It's a lot quicker and a lot easier than doing it one fish at a time with a pole. As I said, I find that boring. Some people like it. I do not. I cannot stand it. Next thing I'd like to see is insects. I don't want a whole bunch of them. Roaches would ruin the game. I mean, besides, I don't think you can make something that small. Same with ants. Butterflies, however, I would like to see butterflies with different variants on them. Monarch butterfly, different kind of butterflies, just randomly flying around. It wouldn't be all year round, you'd probably see them early spring and then some toward the end of fall. It's nothing major. It doesn't even have to be something you interact with. It could be just a visual effect. But it would bring life to the game. Bees are another thing. I would like to see bees added. You'd end up getting honey eventually if you had a bee, and maybe beehive. But, I mean, it's not really necessary. I mean, you can also use it as bait when you're hunting bears. You put the honey on the trap, whatnot, new mechanic to the game. But you'd have to have a wild-looking beehive and then a farm-type kind. I don't know. That's something for the dev to work out, but it's an idea. But I don't think any of this stuff will actually make it to the game. It would be nice if it does. Clothing. I can only think of one thing of clothing that I would like to actually... Well, two. But I don't know. That's asking for too much. I would like to see an Arctic survival camo winter gear. You know, more of late game type deal thing. This way here, it regulates your temperature and you're not overheating while inside dressed warmly. Because you look at the stats right now, perceived temperature 108 degrees. And if it gets, I think, 110, 112, I start overheating. So I cannot safely go from outside to inside and stay in here too long. Because my temperature, see, starts to rise. 113, 115. So that's an issue. Another thing I would like to see is a rain hat. A rain hat, raincoat, and some of those thigh-high boots. This way here you can go out in the water in the rain and you're not getting soaked and shivering your rear end off. You know, that would be nice. And have it to where you can wear it over whatever clothes you were wearing. You know, something that's waterproof for the weather and the elements. After all, it's survival. Why not have it so we can survive rain? Right now, the only way to survive rain is to get out from it. Or an umbrella. Although I don't think I want to walk around holding an umbrella. New statues would be nice. You know, a knight statue holding the sword. Or something for decorations. Excuse me. Yeah, my throat's bad lately. Because right here, I wouldn't mind moving these poles, or even like on the side here maybe. Build a little pedestal platform too high and put a knight statue here and there. Just for decoration. Or if I were to make a keep or something, a grand hall, where I can line the statues along the hall facing toward the center of the hall on each side. Now with that said, I would like gargoyle statues. Because up on that roof area and up here, I would have liked, especially at the corners, I would have liked to have, you know, 4 gargoyle statues, one on each corner facing out. Now, I could probably do it with the plugins and Unity, but I'd have to learn how to do that. You know, I wouldn't mind them crouched over or the wings spread and them standing, but yeah, I would like gargoyle statues in the game. A couple variants. And then, like I said with the crows earlier, I would like to see a scarecrow for the fields with a pumpkin head, you know, a burlap sack shirt on sticks. Nothing fancy. You know, just to give it a better look. Now with that, there are some doors and window suggestions I have. Now, the saloon doors are a double door, but they swing freely. I like the fact that they're a double door, but I don't want them to swing freely. But I would like to have an arched double door where it opens split straight down the center with a knob on each side. This way here, when you open it, it doesn't open like this, but you can make it wider, you know, or even really wide and tall. This way here, it opens out to the side on both sides so you can enter. Another thing I would like to see, and that's for windows, I mean, they wouldn't work on these windows, but if you had a smaller window that was maybe half this size, shutters, where when they're closed, they cover the window and the glass, and when they open, they'll open up and then go flat against this, or you can decide to have it flat or opened at an angle and outward, because it would make builds look a little bit better. And then there's another variant of that shutters. One, like if you do have a size like this, where it opens in the center and it goes upward, and possibly with the animation of a stick holding it up in the center or along the corners, one or the other. You know, just little things that would make the game look better. Another thing I would like to see is a door, but it's more like a cell door. It's like if you wanted to make a jail cell, you know, have one that's arched and one that's a regular door. You know, that would actually make it to where you can build a prison, a dungeon with the cells inside, a little sheriff's place with bars around it and a door. A metal grate, like a sewer grate or whatever, I would like to see that in the game. And for those of you who are like, what the hell's a grate? Well, that's a cooking grate, but that's a similar idea. But with bars going, you know, across. And when it's in the ground and you click on it to open it, it lifts up and then slides off to the side so you can actually enter in, and you know, it's sort of like a trap door, but just bars and whatnot. Now, there's a few other things I would like to see. Now, I made this gate here, the metal bars. I would like to see a gate that's functional where, like this, I turn this and the drawbridge goes down. But I would like to see a wheel and a gate like this, so when I click the wheel, it turns and the gate goes down and up. That would be nice. I would like to see a picket fence gate too, because I mean, we can build them, don't get me wrong. It would look nice. But you're not going to have them open. Here's the issue. But if they already had one built, I mean, got your little picket gate already done for you. Another gate I would like to see is a gate for a stable for horses. You know, with the latch on the side where you lift it up and open it, or in the center where you lift it and the two open. Right now I got doors. Old doors, they work. They look semi-okay, but it's not a stable gate. So it leaves something to be desired. Another type of gate I would like to see into the game is a wrought iron gate. You know, like if I was to go outside and build a wall around this area, I don't want a tiny small door to go in and out of. I want to be able to ride a horse through, you know. I want a wide metal gate that's bars and opens up. It doesn't have to be super fancy, just metal gate, so I can see what's on the other side before I open it. You know, fancier the better. I mean, hey, if you want to go fancy, go fancy. With that said, I would like to see a wrought iron fence too, but that might be asking for too much. What else? New blocks. I would like to see a block where if I were to go... Oh, this no stamina is killing me. It's slowing me up. Like if I go in here for crafting, I go to building, I'll just grab any block. select shape. So you got a hollow block that's got a square, hollow cylinder block with a circle. I would like to see a block that has variant shapes that are hollowed out like that, like a star, four-leaf clover, spade, heart, whatever, so you can resize the block and use it in a build so it looks more fancy. Or even perhaps, add the ability to add a shape that hollows out of your choosing. That would be nice. Another block I would like to see, I don't know if that'd be under furnishings or block, is a hay bale. We got horses, we've got cattle, stuff like that. Fields with hay. Well, wheat. I would like to make a hay field, but that'd probably be another crop or just long grass. But I would like to stack hay bales, on the outside of this fence. A couple rectangles up, nothing fancy, just to give a decent look. Or out in the field, lay out the big round hay bales along a patch, to look like you just harvest hay for the winter. It's a visual thing. I think I missed something with the insects I was thinking about. Yeah, fireflies. Reminded me. That is something I would like to have added too. Just fireflies. They don't have to be an insect. It could be just a visual ambience. Because here it is coming nighttime now. Okay, that's a floating something. See if I can hit that. There we go. Sorry for the distraction. But yeah, as I was saying, with it coming nighttime now, I don't expect to see them in the winter. But maybe late spring or summer to late summer. You come out here, just see a little glow flash, here, there, random, in the trees. And then open fields, especially open fields where you got large grassy areas. You come out and you see a random, glow going off. It doesn't have to be a solid thing. It could just be a visual ambience. But it would make it look nice. Especially if you got the cricket sounds going in the background at night. I mean, just little things that would make the game look better. Now, another kind of block I would like to see is a hay block. Hay block? Can you just ask for hay bales? Hay block and hay bale, two different things. I needed to get my light out. If you look inside of here, in the feeder, see if I can get close, there's hay in there. Now, if you could, or the dev could make that texture onto a block to where we can place it on the ground, we could have, little corners in the pens with hay or a barn or stable. We can actually put a hay floor in so it looks more realistic. Or it could be, not a hay, it could be a recipe. A texture recipe. You make it from grass, hay, you walk up to the dirt, or, soil, gravel, whatever. You paint the texture on and it looks like hay. Either or, it would work. It'll bring visual aspect to the game that'll make it look even better. Now, I know people don't like animals that are pests. pigeons, bats, rats. So maybe a control block, that stops their spawn in game, or your builds, or an option in the settings, do not spawn, around or in builds. So people have the option of having the wildlife in and around their area or not. That's something that could be easily managed. Couple new foods and trees. One is roasted pumpkin seeds. I mean, we've got pumpkins, we've got seeds. Maybe an option to turn pumpkin slices to seeds. Now, again, acorns, add them to oak trees. You can make roasted acorns, use them for bait for squirrels. Also, a spawn point for squirrels. Honey, but I've already mentioned that with the bees. Bacon and eggs, where you actually grab an egg. Oh, there's an egg. There's a couple eggs. Not mean to grab the chicken. Get out of here and shut up. It's hard to see the crosshair at night, or with the light with the snow, but yeah, there's eggs. We've got the eggs. We've got cooked bacon. The only thing you would need is to cook the egg. Add an image of a scrambled egg with bacon slices over it. Increases hunger and, the amount of health that you restore. A lot more than, what it already is solo. That's more of a recipe, I think. Rabbit stew. I think rabbits give raw meat right now. But if it said raw rabbit meat, you could take the raw rabbit meat, cook it. Cook a carrot, cook a potato. Then you turn it into stew and pop it in your... Oh, wow, I got potatoes. Didn't even know that. Pop it in there, or pop it over here with a cooking pot or whatever, and boom. Got rabbit stew. Hearty meal. That one I kind of like. It's a decent idea. Fully restores hunger and health. If your hunger's under 50%. It's pretty much a cooked meat, cooked potato, cooked corn. It's a solid meal. Something that you would eat anyway. But being that you would have to grow the corn, grow the potato, hunt the meat, then cook all three, it would satisfy a lot more. So it pretty much, gives you that super boost bonus of, fully healing you. Just an idea. Now, NPCs, I was thinking, since the Arctic was born when I was up there earlier, add some Viking warriors up there with swords and maybe Viking camps. That would be a little bit more interesting. Just an idea. We've got different bandits in the desert than we do on regular lands. Snow update. This one, I don't know. It could be an option to turn on or off, but I want it. Hope it gets implemented. As I said, I would love to see snow up on the top of this fence, on the posts, along the railing, top of the gate here. Snows, on the arch of this roof here, along the edge of the trough. Wherever there's a structure, I would like to see a thin layer of snow on it so it looks like it actually snowed. The top of the barrel here, I would like to see snow on. Snow over top of the field here. Now, I'm not sure if I made a field out there, it would get covered in snow, but the blocks don't. Snow, you know, sparsely on the tents across this bench. When it snows, I want to see snow. I don't want it to skip tons of areas. It just doesn't look real. To me, anyway. The last thing that I would like to see added to the game is pretty much ice. And I don't mean the ice that they have up north. You know, that's a different kind of ice that's harvestable, and I don't know what they're going to do with that later, if it's going to become a water source or an ingredient for an ice chest or what. But when I'm talking ice, maybe not along the ocean, but, you know, along edges a little bit, you know, of a thin layer of ice to show that it's winter and it's freezing out. It doesn't even have to be symmetrical. It doesn't have to be squared. It can be just random shaped, raggedy edged. But when I come out here and it's winter, I expect to walk out a ways and it'd be solid ice or a thin sheet of ice, you know, to support me. Because that's what happens in winter. You know, I'm cold enough to freeze to death, and I'm dying because of the cold of being in water. And if I'm out here freezing my Watootsie off, I expect the water to freeze. That would be something nice to add to the game. But right now, it pretty much sums up the things that I think that would improve this game so much. I mean, just having that little list of things would improve the visuals and the playability of this game so much. I mean, people want complex things like NPC companions. That's going to take the developer a long time to do if he's even working on it. From what I understand, he's a single developer working solo. So he's basically like a modder, you know, doing a mod, but he's doing an entire game himself. And to me, that's actually impressive to be able to do that. And so far, he's done a damn good job on this game. But I would like to see and hope to see, maybe in the near future, the things that I mentioned. Because in my opinion, that would make this game so much better. Well, anyway, that was my ramble and my ideas. Things that I think would improve this game almost immediately. You guys have a good one, and I'll catch you guys later.